You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. It's time to wake up with the Morning Boys on Worldwide Sports Radio Network. And here's your host, Ryan Hickey.
Good Thursday morning. Welcome in to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. It is the Morning Boys with Ryan Hickey right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. We appreciate you continuing your week with us here this morning as we are here till 11 a.m. on the East Coast. And man, wow, do we have a packed show for you. A lot of baseball to get into. Mostly good, but classic baseball. There's always something to complain about. There's always someone upset about something. So we'll discuss why there's actual, I believe, real progress coming. And that is coming after the Fernando Tatis Jr. swinging on 3-0 debate, incident, we'll call it, that got a few people riled up. But of course, baseball can't even go a week, can't even really go a day without getting someone upset, without having some sort of controversy, to where you can't talk about baseball with its excitement, with its surprise teams, with its great play from superstars. There's always something. So we'll get into that as, as hopefully, I believe at least, coming out of this incident, there's progress that's shown that hopefully at least can bring the sport into a good direction and hopefully at least bring out the fun that's supposed to be there, right? It's sports. It's baseball. It's supposed to be fun. Hopefully that comes out more. So we'll do that. We have MLB Power Rankings, top of the second hour, 10 a.m. on the East Coast. We are just over 40%. Over a third of the way through the baseball season already. It is flying by. A little over a month, just about 5 weeks left in the regular season. So, I mean, it's go time. It is go time. So we'll discuss almost basically halfway through the season who are the best teams in baseball. We have a few new entrants from the last time we did Power Rankings 2 weeks ago. We'll tell you who that is. So we have that with baseball. We have we have made it. The 2020 or Apocalypse Finals. We started out with 15 contestants, had a great regular season, a lot of fun, a lot of laughs, a lot of scary questions that have concerned the things that have happened in 2020 that honestly any other year, even sometimes in a book or in a movie, wouldn't seem believable. But it's happened, and honestly, it's become the norm in this year. And we have made it. The finals are today, a great matchup. Goliath versus Goliath. Joe Pidell, the 1 seed. Sarah Chunkow, the 3 seed. Two of the most consistent, dominant players throughout this entire tournament, facing off for the chance to call themselves the 2020 or Apocalypse champion. Of course, we will do that at 10:20. And let me tell you, since really we devised the playoffs, since we've gotten to the Final Four, obviously, and got to the finals now, I think these are the best questions yet. I really do. Not to, kind of give you an extra tease that you don't really need, but I think some of these questions, by far, are the best of the entire tournament. The fake ones will say, wow, that sounded real. The real ones, no way can they be true. So we'll see if Sarah or Joe, which one of them, will figure it all out, and crown themselves 2020 or Apocalypse champions at 10:20. But before that, in the meantime, in the middle of all that, we do have a lot of NBA to cover. The playoffs so far, the first 3 days, have been incredible. Incredible. Stars bursting on the scene. Teams showing vulnerabilities. We will discuss to end the show at 10:40 a man who's down there in the bubble, Brian Mahoney, Associated Press NBA reporter. He is in the bubble, so we'll get not only his thoughts on seeing these players live. Yesterday he was at the Clippers-Mavs game. Luka Doncic again goes off against the Clippers as they even their series at 1 game apiece. So I want to get Brian's thoughts on, obviously we'll talk about Luka. We'll talk about the 3 title contenders that we thought coming in. Who is most vulnerable? But not just that, also, as a guy in the bubble itself, let's get the bubble experience. What's it been like for him? Has it been enjoyable? Curious if you get some extra insight, seeing the players walking around. So we'll get Brian's thoughts again. Brian Mahoney, 10:40, live from the Orlando bubble, to discuss his thoughts so far of what he's seen through the first 3 games of the NBA playoffs and through the first few weeks that he's been down there in Orlando. But like I said, I want to start with the NBA, and I want to get into really so far our takeaways to the first, not only through the first 3 days of the NBA playoffs, but also through the first 8 games of the seeding games. Because as you heard in the show, I was a person who really, for the most part, didn't take these seeding games seriously, right? The NBA, especially in the playoffs, there's no real parity. So we knew the championship contenders coming in. We knew it was going to be the Bucks. We knew it was going to be the Lakers. We knew it was going to be the Clippers. More often than not, one of those 3 teams would be champion. and obviously 2 of the 3. We expect the Bucks to be in the finals, and we expect a Lakers-Clippers Western Conference Finals. So far at least, through the first few seeding games, and now through the first, at least 1 game for the Bucks and the Lakers, and 2 games for the Clippers, I want to ask this question, because ESPN wrote an initial article heading into the playoffs on Monday morning, before everything even started, before we had any results. And they were saying this is the first time since 2015 there was no clear-cut favorite to win the title. There was no odds-on favorite. This team, for the most part, this is where all the money is. This team has the best odds. Some sports books had the Clippers, others had the Lakers, some had the Bucks. So there's no overarching definitive favorite between those 3 that said, you know what, this is the team to beat this year. The Bucks are the team to beat. The Clippers are the team to beat. The Lakers are the team to beat. I think before the restart, the way that things were trending, the Lakers are that team. Since the restart, it's been anything but. And now you look at these 3 teams struggling in the seeding games, now coming out slow in the playoffs. I want to ask you, this is where I want to start. Who is the favorite right now in the NBA? Who is it? Because right now, the 3 teams that we expected to be the favorites, the Bucks, the Clippers, the Lakers, none of those 3 teams have shown you anything to make them the definitive favorite. None of them have given you confidence to say, you know what, this team I'm riding with. They look good. They look like they came ready to play. If it's them or the field, I'm taking that team. Has any team shown you that so far? Because they haven't for me. The Bucks, again, take what you want from the seeding games, but so far these seeding games have bled into the playoffs. The Bucks went 3-5. Dropped their first game against the Magic. Down 0-1 in the series when they played today. The Lakers also 3-5. Dropped the first game to the Blazers. The same issues that kind of popped up in the seeding games of the Lakers popped up again in the first game against Portland. Clippers went 5-3, but so far through 2 games in their series against the Mavericks, they lost last night. And honestly, if Kristaps Porzingis isn't ejected in the second half, there's a legitimate shot. You can make a legitimate case. The Clippers could be down 0-2 right now. They could be waking up, maybe going from finals favorites to an 0-2 hole against Dallas. So out of those 3 teams, maybe in your mind, you like the Raptors. You like a team, maybe the Heat, maybe the Nuggets, who got washed yesterday, by the way. Maybe it's the Rockets. But I want to ask you, who in your mind so far is the favorite in the NBA to win the finals? Because this is the one sport there's no parity. The better teams, the more talented teams win out more often than not. And the NBA is the easiest one to predict in terms of who's going to make it to the conference finals and who's going to win. You always have an idea, and there's, for the most part, not many upsets. Things go according to plan. Things go according to the seeds. But so far, we've seen anything but that. So of the 3 teams that I think are still tops to win, people still have the most faith in, Lakers, Bucks, Clippers. What order would you put them in? Who's the favorite? I'll go from 3 to 1. I'll go from my least confident team with the conference I have the least, team that I think has the worst shot at winning the title to the best. Right now, at number 3 for me, out of these 3 top teams, again, the Bucks, Lakers, Clippers, we'll rank them out of the 3. The Lakers are the bottom for me. Because you know why? There is legitimate concerns here. In the bubble, they were the worst 3-point field goal shooting team in those seeding games. They were last in points per game scored. Their offense was seriously problematic. But, it's a seeding games. It's LeBron trying to get back and gearing up. Anthony Davis revving up. It's teams like the Lakers who clinched the first seed already, have really nothing to play for. They use these seeding games to a chance to rev up their engines, kind of get back in the flow, so that by that time the playoffs start, they're ready to roll. And we watched that first game against Portland on Tuesday night, and what happened? They couldn't hit water from a boat from 3. I think there was a lid on the rim. They went 5 for 32 from 3. They didn't score 100 points against the Blazers, which everyone, if we put a pickup game of me, you, and 3 of your friends that are listening right now, us 5 could score 100 points on the Blazers. They were giving up points like it's no big deal. And the Lakers still couldn't crack 100 points. And not to mention, look at the overall team. LeBron played well. Anthony Davis didn't play well. But behind them, behind those 2 guys, those 2 superstars, which you rely upon and think day in and day out, they'll be pretty good. They'll lead the team. No one has stepped up. Their depth has been horrible. Danny Green, Long Island guy. Shout out. Stunk. Condavious Caldwell-Pope. Alex Caruso. I understand they have injuries. Avery Bradley's not there. Rajon Rondo hurt his thumb. Kyle Kuzma played nice, but no one really stepped up. So I have legitimate concerns. I am taking what I saw seriously in those seeding games that transferred over so far to Game 1 against the Blazers. I'm taking it seriously. So right now, call me maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I'm being too dramatic. The Lakers, to me, are in serious trouble. And that's why out of the 3 favorites, they're on the bottom. They are the one I have least confidence in. Because those problems are real. They were exacerbated in the Game 1 against the Blazers. And this is not like the Blazers played lights out, played their best game ever, and caught the Lakers on a bad night. Portland didn't even play their best. Well, I want to get into the Lakers more here in a second, and in just about 10 minutes or so, because I want to ask if there's serious concern about the Lakers. Forget just making it to the conference finals. Forget making it to the finals. To get out of the first round. I want to dive into a little more of these things I just talked about. But for me, out of the 3 teams, the Lakers are third. I'm going to try to think in terms of who should be the favorite, who do you have the most confidence in making the finals. Lakers are third. Second is the Bucks. Now, I am a little concerned, I'll be honest, about their defense. They entered the bubble, number 1 in defensive rating. They exited at least the seeding games 10th. And again, I understand you use these seeding games to, again, get back in your rhythm, get the flow going. You've been off for 4 months. They're essentially, say what you want, they're preseason games at best. But here's where I do get concerned. Here's where I do take these seeding games serious, at least what happens in them. Because if they start to bleed over into games that matter, into games that count, then I think these problems are serious. These problems aren't ones that are just overlooked because they weren't trying, because, the best players were sitting half the games. The Bucks' strategy on defense is basically they're going to protect the paint. Obviously, you have Giannis Antetokounmpo, a man amongst boys out there, an athletic freak, the Greek freak for a reason. He protects the paint. So the Bucks will give up 3-pointers, but they won't give you easy baskets. They won't give you layups. Well, guess what? That's a little concerning because guess what happens now in the league? Guess what teams are focused on doing more of? Shooting threes. And if those threes aren't falling from the Bucks and they're giving up threes, that's when you're in trouble. And that's what the Magic did in Game 1. The Magic have nowhere close to the talent they should have the Bucks. I said previewing the series, the only thing the Bucks have to worry about is making sure Giannis doesn't get frustrated to where he headbutts someone and gets a serious suspension. That's it. So I still think they'll be fine in terms of the series with the Magic. But it is a little concerning that their defensive strategy was exposed by a team that's not even a great three-point shooting team. Sure, maybe the Magic had a great night, and they did. But when you play teams against like the Celtics, the Raptors, they can hurt you from 3. There's serious concern. But with that said, again, one game, they still have the best player in the NBA, MVP this season in Giannis. Still feeling pretty good against the Bucks, with the Bucks, excuse me. They do have a little bit of issues on defense. See if they can bounce back, but that's why I have them at least as my number 2 team. Number 1 right now, the team I still think should be the favorite. Despite, again, possibly, potentially being one iffy technical away from being down 0-2 in the series against the Mavericks. I still have the Clippers. Like I said, I think in the NBA especially, talent wins out. 2 things, really 3 things the Clippers have. Talent, depth, championship experience. Kawhi's won 2 finals. Paul George has been in the playoffs a lot. And you have that core. Pat Bev, Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell were great in the playoffs, actually. They really pushed the Warriors in that Game 1 series. I think more than ever, you have to rely on that championship experience, that playoff experience, because it's different now. You got to know how to win. So for me, the biggest concern for the Clippers, the biggest flaw they have is just their lack of continuity. Game 1 was the first time they had their full cavalry of players available. Montrezl Harrell missed the entire seeding game portion of the bubble and just got cleared quarantine right before Game 1. So here's a guy trying to work back into shape, trying to get his basketball legs under him in games that count, in playoff games. So to me, that continuity, that rust will only get better, will only work its way off as they play more together. So as the series gets deeper, I think the Clippers will bounce back, and I think they'll be okay. And in the end, to me, That's why the Clippers, despite, again, dropping last night, kind of getting owned by Luka and the Mavericks, despite the potential of kind of squeaking one out in Game 1, getting aided by Kristaps Porzingis getting ejected on a ticky-tack technical, to say the least. I still have the Clippers to me number 1. I think they are still the favorites. So I'm curious your thoughts. Because really, I don't think there's a distinct answer. And maybe you feel there's a team that I didn't even list. Maybe you do like the Raptors. Up 2-0 so far against the Nets. Have looked pretty solid. So I'm curious your thoughts. Whether you want to comment on Facebook, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You want to get us on Twitter, WWSRN_radio. Tweet me personally, Ryan_Hickey, and the number 3. Who is the favorite right now in the NBA? Because year in and year out, we always see there's one favorite, there's always one team where the money goes. First time since 2015, there's no definitive favorite. And this was before the playoffs even started. This was Monday morning before the first playoff game started. There was no favorite. Too many casinos, too much money was split between the Lakers, Bucks, and Clippers. 3 days into the playoffs, with most of these teams playing 1, the Clippers playing 2 games, I don't think any of these teams gave you a reason to say they are the favorite. They are the clear-cut favorite. I have the confidence in them the most that they will get it done. So I'm curious your thoughts. Again, who right now is a favorite in the NBA to win the finals? Get your thoughts at Facebook, Worldwide Sports Radio Network, Twitter, WWSRN_radio, Twitter, WWSRN_radio. When we come back, we will dive into one of these teams, the Los Angeles Lakers, the number 1 seed in the West, with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, the best 1-2 tandem in the NBA. Are they legitimately in trouble? Should there be some serious concern? We'll discuss why that answer is yes when the Morning Boys Ryan Hickey return right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. It's time to wake up with the Morning Boys on Worldwide Sports Radio Network. And here's your host, Ryan Hickey.
And we're back here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network on this Thursday morning, talking a lot of NBA, because really for the first time that I can remember, I don't know what the hell that was. It sounded like Kanye humming. It says instrumental, we'll see, but I promise that was not me. We're talking a lot of NBA because for the first time that I can remember in a while, there is real parity so far in this bubble. The bubble has brought something that we have not seen, and that is a level playing field. Whether it's a lack of home court advantage, whether it's just being away from your family, whatever it is, maybe it's a 4-month layoff, all of it coming together. And so far, the favorites that we kind of always penciled in, always gave only 3 teams a chance to really get it done, get to the finals and win it. Clippers, Bucks, and Lakers. I think if anything, all 3 have raised questions. All 3 have kind of come back to the field a little bit. I think they'll open up a real discussion. So, coming off the fact that Vegas, for the first time since 2015, didn't have a clear-cut favorite to win the title, and this was before the playoffs even started. Now you watch the Lakers play the Trailblazers, you watch the Bucks drop Game 1 to the Magic, and you watch the Clippers, lucky to be in a 1-1 tie with the Mavericks. I'm asking you, who is the favorite right now in the NBA? Should there even be one? Which team do you feel the most confident will get the job done? So far for me, because of talent, because of their incredible depth, and because they have players that know how to win championships and have been on championship rosters, I'm going with the Clippers. Again, despite the fact that they easily could be down 0-2 to the Mavericks, despite being basically built on defense with Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, long wings, very quick, supposed to shut down guys like Luka Doncic. Instead, Luka Doncic is setting records. Most points in your first career playoff game at 42. Most points in your first 2 playoff games at 70. In NBA history, by the way. Not Mavericks history, not recent NBA history, in NBA history. So 2 games, 2 records for Luka Doncic. Clippers, no matter who they throw at them, have no answers. So despite that, despite being their principles, being defense, I'm still rolling with Doc Rivers. I'm still rolling with the Clippers. To me, as a team I believe in the most, I think should be the favorites when it comes to the NBA. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Again, Worldwide Sports Radio Network on Facebook, WWSRN_radio on Twitter, or if you want to tweet me personally, Ryan_Hickey and the number 3. We'll get your thoughts. Who should be the favorite? Who is, in your mind, the favorite to win the NBA title down there in Orlando? So I do want to focus on and kind of or I guess zoom in, I should say, on the Lakers. Out of the three teams, Bucks, Clippers, Lakers, I have them third. Last, in terms of confidence I have, faith I have that they can get to the finals, let alone win the finals. Because what they've showed so far, through the first 8 games, and now through the first game playing against Portland, I think there's legitimate concern for this team. And not just a legitimate concern that, they look vulnerable to the Clippers, They look vulnerable if they meet the Bucks in the finals. They look vulnerable, and there's legitimate concern that they might even make it out of the first round. There should be legitimate concern and worry that the Trailblazers match up well, are playing well, I can get this series done, get a 1/8 upset. A few reasons why. Number one, we talked about this in the open. The 3 favorites struggled in the seeding games, and at least personally for me, I didn't take it seriously because I kind of viewed these games again as opportunities and basically preseason games for these teams to get their groove on, get back in a rhythm after being off for 4 months, and gear up to where the playoffs actually started, they'll be good to go. So Lakers going 3-5 really shouldn't be alarming. The fact that their offense was putrid, shouldn't be too alarming. Because again, it was an opportunity to work back into shape, get sharp for the playoffs. But guess what happened so far? Tuesday night. Their 3-point shooting woes, their points, and the lack of really role players at all, any depth, came to the forefront. Really reared its ugly head and cost the Lakers, at least in game 1. I mean, they were shooting bad from 3-point range in the seeding games. They shot even worse. Somehow they went worse in game 1 against Portland. So they were last in 3-point shooting percentage from teams in the bubble. They followed that up by going an outstanding 5 for 32 behind the arc Tuesday night against the Blazers. 5 for 32. For you math whizzes out there, I'm sure you already did it. But for those of you who are not, like myself, I did the math already. That's 15.6%. Tell me how many teams are going to win championships, win series, when you are shooting 15% from behind the arc in a league that really now has become prevalent with the 3-point shooting. It does not really breed well. You had Danny Green, a main 3-point shooter, go 2 for 8. Kyle Kuzma, the guy you thought was going to be the third player to kind of really step up behind Anthony Davis, behind LeBron James, and be kind of that guy to take over, 1 for 5. Anthony Davis shot a few threes, 0 for 5 himself. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, a guy you think should be one of those guys, that's his role, is to knock down threes, 0 for 5. So to say you shoot better from behind the arc to have a chance is an understatement. That's an understatement of understatements. And this isn't just one bad game where, okay, let's not overreact. This is, they'll come back to the mean. It's just a cold night. Teams all the time have cold nights in the NBA, right? And it's sports after all. No one goes perfect. But why this is concerning is because this is just a continuation from the seeding games. Again, dead last in 3-point shooting in those 8 games, and they continue that by going 15% from 3 in game 1. So yeah, there's legitimate concern. This is not one bad night. This is starting to become a pattern. That the rim's moving on them. They can't knock down the open jumper. And it's so far costing them. And speaking of which, the bad 3-point shooting obviously goes hand in hand with their struggle to score points. So they scored 93 points on Tuesday night. Remember I said in the open, if me, you, and 3 of your friends put together a pickup team of 5 guys, and we played Portland, we would score 100 points. Now, they would probably score 300 points. Well, I don't think any of us is going to check Damian Lillard, don't get me wrong. But we'll score 100 points. That's how bad Portland's defense is. They came in 20th of 22 teams in defensive efficiency. The reason why they were winning was because their offense was outstanding. And the reason why I took the Lakers, I thought it was going to be a quick series, 5 games, was because, sure, they could score with anyone. But their defense is so bad, they have no answer for Anthony Davis. They have no answer for LeBron James. And anyone else who wants to score, they'll be able to score at will. Why that 93 points is significant is because this is the first time Portland held a team under 100 points in a game since January 7th. First time the Trailblazers have not allowed 100 points since January 7th. 37 games between that game and now. Think about that. Think about how bad you have to be offensively to a team that gives up 100 points, and that's basically the starting point. It's a given. 37 games in a row, they've given up over 100 points, and the Lakers couldn't do it. And again, this is a team with a terrible, terrible, terrible defense. So you look at the trends right now. The Lakers, before the stoppage, right, when they were really heating up, they were really hitting their groove. Remember, they had that big stretch. They beat the Bucks, they beat the Celtics, and they beat the Clippers. They were 7th in the league in points per game. They were 1st in field goal percentage in the league. Well, now they entered Tuesday, last in points per game, 19th out of 22 in field goal percentage. And guess what? Those numbers got worse in game 1. So you can't shoot from 3. Leads to you struggle to score points. You can't even score points against a defense that is basically giving you points. They're saying, here, start with 100 and we'll see if we can outscore you from there. And they couldn't do it. First time in 37 games, the Blazers held the team under 100 points. And finally, my last concern that makes it a legitimate threat, and a legitimate concern at least, that the Lakers won't be able to get out of the first round, let alone really be any title contender, is that who is their third contributor? Who's the guy that's going to really give them some juice, some scoring? That, sure, you take the pressure off LeBron James, you take the pressure off Anthony Davis. When those two are being watched, someone else will benefit from all that attention not being on them. It should be Kyle Kuzma, right? Talent-wise, it should be the guy. But he has not been able to do it consistently. Like I said, Danny Green going 2 for 8 from 3, couldn't hit water from a boat Tuesday night. KCP, Alex Caruso, at best, are role players. So it can't just be the LeBron and AD show. Because if that's the case, if the Lakers' strategy is have LeBron score as many points as possible, have Anthony Davis dominate as much as possible, that's a strategy we've seen in the playoffs doesn't always work. It lends itself to really keeping yourself exposed. And what happened? If LeBron James doesn't have an out-of-his-mind game, if Anthony Davis doesn't have a career night, the Lakers are seriously in trouble. They are seriously in trouble. Anthony Davis struggled from the floor. What happened? Lakers couldn't keep up. No one else around him stepped up. The entire strategy right now is relying on 2 guys. You're playing 2 against 5. So yeah, depth is a legitimate concern. When your entire game plan offensively is pray, 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 that LeBron goes 30 and 20, AD is like 40 and 20, and then maybe 1 or 2 of the guys can make a few shots out from the outside. That's not a winning formula. That breeds concern. And I have that concern, which is why I think the Lakers are in serious trouble. And again, not just to get out of the first round or make it to, I should say, not just to win the finals, make it to the finals. They're in serious, legitimate concern, and they're in serious trouble of not even being able to get out of the first round. I'll say this. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me once, shame on, fool me twice, shame on me, right? I'll equate this to the NFL. Because I think right now you can make the same argument for the Patriots this past year and the Lakers right now. And that is this. The Patriots, right, were okay. They were kind of going by, looking good. But for the most part, especially towards, the end of November and December, they didn't really look great. The offense was struggling. Tom Brady was on the same page as his receivers. And the offense was really struggling to score points. And myself, I just was a believer in the Patriots. I was one of those guys where I got to see it to believe it. And that is the offense struggles at home, and they get eliminated early by a team with not enough talent. So despite losing at home in the final week to lose a bye against the Dolphins, despite the offense really, really struggling that last month of the year to score points, I said, you know what? I'm still a believer in the Patriots. I still think they'll be in the AFC title game. May even upset, to get there, either the Ravens or the Chiefs. Like, I'm still, until I see it with my own eyes, I believe Tom Brady, I believe Bill Belichick will get it done. And once the playoffs come around, they'll flip a switch. But what happened? We get to the AFC wildcard. You have Gillette Stadium, Saturday night at night. All right, the Patriots never lose these games. What happens? The Titans come in there, punch them in the mouth, and the Titans leave victorious. And you know what? You go back, you go on Monday, we're talking about the show, and what happens? You reflect. Wow, I guess that offense, struggling for the last month of the year, there was no magic switch that was flipped. There was no magic formula that all of a sudden had the offense clicking. So I made the mistake of not believing what I saw. Right? Because the Patriots gave you nothing to believe in that last month. And guess what? That carried over to the playoffs. So I'm going to do the same thing with the Lakers here. Through these 8 games, through the first game of the playoffs against the Blazers, they have given you no reason to believe. Like I said, these issues of scoring, this struggle to hit shots from beyond the arc, it's not a one-game problem. It's not a one-night issue where everyone was off, okay, you bounce back and it'll be better. They were the worst three-point shooting team in the bubble. They had the lowest amount of points per game scored. That's 9 games now. That's a pattern. That's not an anomaly. So I'm believing it. I didn't believe with the Patriots. I got burned. I'm not going to make the same mistake twice. I'm believing it. So I think the struggle from behind the arc is going to continue, which will lead to their struggle to score points, which to me gives Portland a massive, massive window right now to take advantage and get the upset. I'm a believer. I'm a believer in Portland. I'm a believer in the Trailblazers. I'm a believer that there's legitimate concern for the Lakers. They're going to need Herculean efforts at best from both LeBron and AD for this rest of the series just to get out of there. Just to get out of the series. So there are warning signs to the Lakers. I'm not ignoring them this time. I'm curious your thoughts. Do you think in your mind, is there a legitimate concern? Should there be a legitimate concern for the Lakers? One of my good friends, big Lakers fan. As you can imagine, the texts were flying on Tuesday night. But I asked him seriously, after thinking about what is your concern level? Because again, the signs are there. The warning signs are there. He said my concern level went from 5% to 10%. Basically brushing it off, not worried at all. And I guess a believer in Anthony Davis, a believer in playoff LeBron James. And using the mindset I used with the Patriots, and that until you see it, until the Lakers actually go down, until LeBron James actually loses a first round, he's never done that. 13 straight years in a row, he's got out of the first round. Well, it's the third longest behind. I think it's Derek Fisher and Robert Horry. Two of the guys who have longer streaks of getting out of the first round without losing. So LeBron's never done it. We've never seen it before. But I'm not going to wait to see it. I'm not going to believe it when I see it. I'm believing it now. I think there's legitimate concern. There's legitimate worry around the Lakers. And they are in serious trouble to get out of the first round. You heard Charles Barkley Tuesday night. Before the game, he said if Portland wins this first game, they're swooping the series. He believes that game was really going to be the barometer and set the tone for the rest of the series. The Lakers showed they couldn't, all those woes, all those struggles they had in those seeding games, you could brush it off and say, they're not really, they're not gearing up for those games. LeBron's not into it. He sees the end goal. LeBron has done a great job throughout his career of pacing himself. He never turns it on too early. So that way he's playing his best basketball when it matters the most, which is now in the playoffs. But right now we haven't seen that. He hasn't been able to pace himself. He hasn't been able to flip the switch, I should say, to get to playoff LeBron. So is there a concern? I am very concerned. Very concerned that the Lakers can't even get out of the first round of the playoffs. So I'm curious your thoughts. Should there be concern? Are you concerned? What's your belief level about Portland? Like Damian Lillard, C.J. McCollum, Yusuf Nurkic playing great. And all of a sudden that rejuvenated Portland defense. Can they make an upset? Can I pull the rare 1/8 upset? So your thoughts, Worldwide Sports Network on Facebook, WWSR_radio, WWSR_radio on Twitter, or Ryan_Hickey, and the number 3 if you want to tweet me directly. So we'll get your thoughts. Lakers in trouble, and who is the favorite in the NBA? Who in your mind right now is the team that's going to get it done, as we go through the first few games of the playoffs with no real contenders between the Bucks, the Lakers, and the Clippers, really giving you much to believe in. So who's the favorite in the NBA, and is there a legitimate concern with the Lakers? Get your thoughts. And when we come back, progress. Is progress coming to baseball? They came out of this whole Fernando Tatis Jr. drama. We'll get to it when the Morning Boys Ryan Hickey return right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. It's time to wake up with the Morning Boys on Worldwide Sports Radio Network. And here's your host, Ryan Hickey.
We are just over a half hour away. 2020 or Apocalypse Finals. We have made it. 15 contestants in the regular season. We cut it down to 10 for the playoffs. Little play-in series to get down to 8. 1 through 8 was set. Joe Pedal, the 1 seed. Sarah Chunkawa, the 3 seed, fought the way through the Elite 8. The Final 4 now meet for the championship round. And let me tell you, I was so excited. I found these stories, kept them for a while, anticipating this moment. So I am really, really, really excited about the stories that we have to try to stump them to see who will become the 2020 or Apocalypse champion. 10-20. We'll see who will get it done, Joe or Sarah. Joe coming off hot, by the way, going 5 for 5 in the Final 4. We'll see if he can continue that hot streak and get it done, or if it's Sarah. She's been great as well. Really, I said, I think the best matchup we possibly could have in terms of knowledge, in terms of sniffing out some of the ones I make up that are fake, being really in tune, because, again, they are all over it. Should be really, really, really exciting. We'll do that 10-20. 10-40, a lot of NBA talk, right? Should they be concerned about the Lakers? I say yes. And concern level is high, by the way. If we're on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm saying an 8. Because the Lakers have really shown you nothing so far through the first 8 games and through the first playoff game, that they really are a championship-level team right now. Outside of the names, right? Outside of the name LeBron James, Anthony Davis, there has been nothing, no reason to make you believe since the bubble started. So we get Brian Mahoney, the man who is down there in Orlando, in the bubble itself. Get his thoughts on the Lakers, Luka Doncic. I mean, I don't even know if I'm going to ask a question. I'm just going to say maybe 2 words, Luka Doncic. Because he's just been incredible so far through these 2 playoff games, setting records, most points in your first playoff game, most points in your first 2 playoff games in NBA history. He's just been a catalyst. And the Mavericks so far looking real good. So we'll talk to Brian and the show just about an hour or so from now. But I do want to talk some baseball. Because Monday night going to Tuesday, personally, I'll be honest, I missed it. I woke up Tuesday morning, saw the reaction. But in classic baseball form, in classic baseball sense, there's always something to complain about. There's always someone upset, yelling at the clouds about one of the ways that a player is playing the game, not in the way that they believe the game should be played. And, of course, the latest example of this, Fernando Tatis Jr., in case you missed it. Padres up 10-3 in the 8th inning. Bases are loaded. Tatis has a 3-0 count. Pitcher grooves one right down the middle. Tatis smokes it for a grand slam. And instead, after the game, I want to play this for you in case you missed it. You have Rangers manager Chris Woodward, let's just say, wasn't a big fan of Tatis Jr. swinging on 3-0. Here's what Woodward had to say.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of unwritten rules that are, constantly being challenged, I think, in today's game. So, I didn't like it personally. When you're up by 7 in the 8th inning, it's typically not a good time to swing 3-0. That's kind of, the way we were all kind of raised in the game. But, like I said, the norms are being challenged on a daily basis. So just because I don't like it doesn't mean it's not right. But I don't think we liked it as a group.
So Chris Woodward, manager of the Rangers, team's getting blown out, doesn't like that Fernando Tatis Jr. swing on 3-0 at the bases loaded. Doesn't stop there, though. Because, okay, that's, we've heard that before, right? You're getting your doors blown in. Last thing you want to do is, see a guy just serve up a grand slam. But this is where it took it to the next level. Padres manager, Jace Tingler, right? Manager of Fernando Tatis Jr., manager of a superstar in the making, the potential next face of baseball, feels the same sentiment as Chris Woodward. Here's what he had to say.
We had a little bit of a comfortable lead, and we're not trying to run up the score or anything like that. And so put on the take sign and probably see a strike right there.
So he puts the take sign on. He warns Fernando Tatis Jr. to not swing, misses the sign, swings, grand slam. Classic. Old man screams at clouds, gets upset because kids are having fun. Because a superstar is continuing to play the game hard, trying to play the game right. But this is where I see baseball, excuse me. This is where I see progress coming to baseball. Because I'll be honest, what happened next, the reaction that came after this, after hearing Chris Woodward talk about the unwritten rules and how he didn't like a player swinging 3-0. He thought the game was already over. How Tatis Jr.'s own manager wasn't in favor of him swinging. What happened after this, to me, was encouraging. Because whether it's players, whether it's other coaches, and a majority of fans came to the defense of Fernando Tatis Jr. You guys like Trevor Bauer, very outspoken, had Tatis Jr.'s back. Tim Anderson, a great White Sox shortstop, very outspoken, guy who has a lot of personality, trying to inject that into the game. Obviously, defended Tatis. Garrett Cole, a pitcher himself, mind you, had no issue with Tatis swinging. Dave Roberts, manager of the Dodgers. Joe Girardi, manager of the Phillies. Girardi, especially, a little bit of an old school manager, right? Brings that little old school flair. Still, kind of believes in the principles of the game. They had no problem with him swinging 3-0. And as they should, by the way. Think about what Jace Tingler, what Chris Woodward, and a few others, there's a select few that were in the minority for sure, but a few others were upset. Guess what they were upset about? A player still playing the game hard. That's what we're talking about here. How many times have we gotten on a guy in any sport, but let alone baseball, for not hustling out of the box, lollygagging, jogging, kind of just, going through the motions, playing flat. And here people are getting upset because a guy is still playing the game hard despite the score being what it is. Despite the pitcher, I don't know what you're supposed to do as a batter, just lay down. So this is why I do believe progress is coming, because the outrage, the frustration that was put towards those players and those managers and those fans are upset, actually, more about Fernando Tatis Jr. swinging than they were about anything else. To me, that's why baseball is changing. Because now it's being more and more accepted, and less people are getting mad. Let's look at what it is. Tatis Jr. should be what MLB hopes to be the face of baseball. Because he really stands for everything the sport wants to be and should be. This guy's a league leader in home runs, RBIs, runs scored, stolen bases. He's a phenomenal player at such a young age. But not only that, not only is he great in the field, because we've seen great players. Mike Trout, already in the Hall of Fame. Already a Hall of Fame player. Guy's just a machine. But Tatis Jr. brings something that Trout doesn't bring. He brings energy. He brings passion. And he shows it outwardly. He likes to have fun. And for too long, baseball especially, has suppressed emotions, told those players who are passionate, who are loud, rein it in. Don't show your personality. Don't really show any flair. Just get to first base, get the job done, and move on. But now, finally, personality is starting to bubble to the top. Personality is starting to be not only accepted, but encouraged. Right? You had MLB last year do the whole Let the Kids Play campaign. So I thought it was smart and great. But now here we are again. If MLB is saying let the kids play, and as soon as the kids are playing, someone gets mad. Managers get mad. Fans get mad. It's like, what are we doing here? We're back to, square one. But I will give MLB credit in this way. And I think swinging on 3-0, just basically having players play hard all the time, it will change. And here's why I think that. Let's go back to another issue that was really controversial for a while that has now become accepted. I'm going to compare what Tatis Jr. did, basically swinging whenever you have a chance, putting as much runs on the board, to bat flips. Remember how controversial bat flips were? Oh, you flip it too high, all of a sudden now you're going to get a fastball in the hip. Tim Anderson especially, who we mentioned before, who had Tatis Jr.'s back, got plunked, I think, 2 or 3 times because the team who he was playing against was not a fan of his bat flip. Now it's encouraged. Now it's accepted. You used to get your thrown at. You used to maybe even have the benches clear. You used to get a lot of players upset, a lot of pitchers upset, a lot of managers upset. But now it's encouraged. Now it's really accepted. I can't honestly remember the last time this year, or even, mostly through last year, really since the Tim Anderson incident, where a player flipped his bat too high, threw too far, yelled too loud after hitting a home run or getting a great hit, and the player getting thrown at. So the young players have taken over the game in the sense that the passion they show, the exuberance, the energy they bring is being accepted and is being now normalized as a part of the game. So what once went from an unwritten rule, don't show up the pitcher, Don't flip your bat. Just drop the bat, trot the bases, put your head down. Guess what? Now there's more and more passion, energy, and personality that's entering the game, which I think baseball needs badly. That is a major, major, major reason why the game has struggled to get on a national level in terms of relevance and struggled to really bring in the young fans. There's a lot of reasons why. You talk about pace of play, talk about balls not in action, strikeout, home run, or a walk. That's really the only, 3 true outcomes. If you want to talk about baseball, there's just not much action anymore. These games getting longer with less action in between. It's boring. I'll be honest. There are some games that it's just so boring. I'm a diehard, huge baseball fan. I watch as many games as I can. But, man, when it's strikeout, home run, strikeout, home run, it gets boring. So you want to bring fans in. You want to get the young fans, the young generation, who's really now more than ever profiting and learning the most how to be creative, how to use their personality to their advantage. Right? Get paid to be you. We see TikTok, we see all these internet viral stars. They are getting paid and they are profiting off of their personality, their creativity. This was not the case for a long time, right? So now you're finally seeing personality shine through. And now you're seeing other players now, the young players that are taking over the game. The guard is, I believe, changing. So it's encouraging to see, I guess, all these players, even managers, come to the defense of a young, passionate superstar player that continue to play the game hard. Because you know what we should be talking about? Fernando Tatis Jr., 7 RBIs in that game, a great, great, great game. And a budding superstar in front of our eyes. He has taken the next step from last year to this year. And again, I told you, he's leading the league in home runs, leading the league in runs batted in, leading the league in runs scored and stolen bases. He's doing it all over the field. We should be talking about him as a player, what he's doing on the field, what the Padres are doing as a young team, young, exciting team. But instead, here we are because some people got upset. A small minority of people got upset, but they are the most vocal. Because of that, now all of a sudden, we're talking about players trying to suppress their emotions, unwritten rules ruining the game. So at least I'm encouraged that a lot of players, managers, fans came to the defense of Tatis Jr. They want to see it more. I want to see it more. I think that's how it helps to grow the game, helps to make it more exciting. So I love to see it, and I hope it continues. So I just want to get that off my chest. A little frustrating. Definitely to see the reaction the way it is. But like I said, progress. We saw it with bat flips. They become normalized. They become accepted. I hope that this continues. Goes into the players playing hard. And we get stop about these unwritten rules. I've seen it a lot, so it's not original. But a lot of people have said the last few days, the reason why these rules aren't written is because if you wrote them down, they'd be stupid. And I think part of that is ruin the game. Let the kids play. MLB said it best. Let the kids play. So that's all I just want to get off my chest. Very, very, very frustrated that baseball, again, with a shortened season, with a lot of more excitement, a lot more attention than ever paid to the sport of baseball. We continually kind of harp on, continually always talk about what they're doing wrong. That's my thoughts. Love to get yours. If you have any passionate thoughts, one way or another. Tatis Jr. was out of line. You want to see it more. Worldwide Sports Radio Network on Facebook, WWSR_radio on Twitter. When we come back, we'll continue with the baseball. MLB Power Rankings. We do it every Thursday. Just over 40% of the season gone. So we're nearing the halfway point. A few new entrants to the Power Rankings. I'll tell you who that is when the Morning Boys Ryan return right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. It's time to wake up with the Morning Boys on Worldwide Sports Radio Network. And here's your host, Ryan Hickey.
And we are back here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, just about 20 minutes away from the 2020 or Apocalypse Finals. Sarah Troncalli, Joe Padel the 1 seed, Troncalli the 3 seed. 2 will enter, only 1 will exit. At least in terms of trying to crown themselves champions. No one's dying here. But 2 will enter, 1 will be able to crown themselves champions at 10:20. And 10:40, we end the show with a lot of with a lot of NBA talk. Who is the the finals favorite? Are the Lakers in trouble? We'll ask those questions and more to Brian Mahoney, Associated Press NBA reporter down in Orlando, inside the bubble, infiltrated the bubble. We'll see not only get his thoughts on what he's seen so far through the first few days of the playoffs, but also what's life like. You always hear about what it's like for the players. They have fishing, they go play golf. You're kind of on your own. There's a lot of basketball. What's it like from a reporter's perspective? I'm very curious to see what Brian's experience has been like so far. We'll do that again at 10:40 to end the show. We did talk about what happened with Fernando Tatis Jr., Chris Woodward, the manager of the Rangers, Tatis Jr.'s own manager, Jace Tingler, both getting upset that Tatis swung 3-0 in a game that was a blowout. Or in their mind, I should say a blowout. And I have no problem with it. But I'm saying the progress at least is shown because a lot of players, coaches, fans came to the defense of Tatis Jr. Said this is, these unwritten rules are dumb. It's ridiculous. So I believe just like bat flips have become normalized, this will become normalized. And we will be talking less and less and less about unwritten rules. My guy, Teddy. I love Teddy. Went to college with him. We heard him on the show, competed in 2020 Apocalypse. Just snuck into the playoffs. Eliminated in the play-in rounds. Big baseball fan himself. Said there should be, speaking of the bat flips, there should be a height limit as to how high players are allowed to throw their bat. These young players are on a slippery slope to out of control. This is, Ted, I love you. I really do. We're hanging out next week, so maybe if you're going to get upset, you're going to punch me in the face. But I couldn't disagree more. The passion makes it exciting. Who cares how high a guy flips his bat? You want to get upset? Get him out. Don't make a mistake. Don't put the ball down the middle of the play. I don't know what to tell you. Baseball is such a sport of failure, right? If you fail 3 times out of 10, if you fail 70% of the time, you're one of the best to ever do it. Think about that. No other profession, maybe outside of being a weatherman, can you fail that much and be rewarded for it and be praised for it, right? Weathermen, baseball players. So when you have that rare modicum of success, when you have that rare moment, and you finally best a pitcher, should be able to celebrate. Go crazy. Flip your bat. Show some energy. Show some passion. To me, that makes it more exciting for me, the viewer. Me, the viewer, me, the fan. Makes it a lot more entertaining to watch. Makes it a lot more exciting to watch when the players are able to express themselves, able to show their excitement. I don't know why we're trying to suppress feelings. I don't know why we're trying to suppress enthusiasm. Doesn't make any sense. We're not encouraging the players to play less hard. We're not encouraging the players to, jog to first base, hot dog it. Show some passion. Show some energy. Show you care. Baseball especially is a sport where you play every day 162 games. It's a grind. It's not the NFL where you have 16 games. You work all off season for just 16 opportunities. So when you score a touchdown, sure, it's massive. When you make a big tackle, sure, it's massive. Baseball, it's hard to get that energy every single day. So bring more of it, not less. So appreciate Teddy's thoughts. Height on bat flips is his suggestion. I say bring it on. The higher, the better. But we'll stick with a little baseball. 40% through the regular season. MLB Power Rankings, we do it every Thursday. Like I said, we have some new entrants, and we'll start. At number 5, we'll go 5-1. We'll start with the white hot Tampa Bay Rays. 16-9 in the season, winners of 10 of their last 11. So far, trying to get the sweep of the Yankees later today. They've been great. And really, they've been great in the reasons we didn't expect. Right? You see the Rays, you look at the roster, you look, okay, pitching. They have Tyler Glasnow, a great pitcher. They have Charlie Morton, another stud, 1 and 1A in their lineup, in their rotation, Both have ERAs over 5. Both have struggled. I know Glasnow pitched well last night, but for the most part, throughout the season so far, both have struggled to get it going. While the pitching hasn't been great, hasn't been up to par. How about the offense? The Rays, 3rd most runs in MLB. 127 entering Tuesday night. The Rays are hot. After a slow start, they are cooking and chasing the Yankees. Right now, the Tampa Bay Rays at 16-9, getting winners of 10 of the last 11 right now. A team that I thought was perfectly built for a short season where they really emphasize versatility, playing players in different positions, using different pieces out of their bullpen in different situations. They are perfectly built for a short season like this, where you really need versatility and flexibility. They have both. And again, 16-9, chasing those Yankees. It's a game back, or a half game back, I should say. They are scorching hot, and they have welcomed themselves into the Worldwide Sports Radio Network's power rankings. So congratulations, Tampa Bay. You're in at number 5.
Number 4.
I apologize. I forgot to do number 5. We'll do it for the Rays.
Number 5. Number 4.
The Oakland A's. Speaking of getting hot and staying hot, the A's at 17-8, tops in the AL West right now, 14-4 in August, hitting their stride, playing really well, relying upon a very deep lineup. Mark Hanna has really, really, really exploded. I think he's gone from a good player to a very good player this year. Matt Chapman just a stud at third base. Steve Piscotty, Marcus Semien. They have a deep lineup. They are outstanding defensively. Not to mention, their pitching has been great. No big names, no big aces on their roster, every fifth day or every other day. But despite that, it's a collective group. They've been great. 7th in TMRA, second best bullpen ERA just behind the Dodgers. So they're doing it with a lot of no names. They are doing it without, essentially a bunch of regular guys. But it's a collective team effort. Really fitting for the Oakland A's. I mean, that is their identity, right? Team effort. Everyone contributing, everyone getting the job done. And again, 14-4 in August. Leading the AL West. They are playing great. So congratulations, Oakland A's. You are number 4 and ascending in the Worldwide Sports Radio Network Power Rankings.
Number 3.
Team we thought we were going to be here, right? And again, so far at least, I think through these first 3 rankings, with the Rays, the A's, and now the Twins, all 3 have been here, for reasons that we expected, but for different reasons. I should say, I'm sorry. They are. I worded that awfully. All 3 teams so far in the power rankings for different reasons than we expected. So the Rays we thought would be relying on pitching. It's been their hitting so far that's picked them up. The A's, great staff, great pitching staff, despite really, I don't know if anyone can really name the starting 5 right now in Oakland. Twins, so far, I mean, they bolstered, and their main focus was their pitching staff, and it has improved. But their lineup is maybe not as potent as we thought. And that's not a bad thing. Nelson Cruz has been outstanding. He has been white hot, leader of that team. But honestly, I mean, again, it's still early, but I figured the Twins would be right up there in home runs, right up there in runs scored. They're 11th in runs scored. Outside the top 10, I believe they're 8th in home runs. But pitching has really so far been the difference for the Twins and why they are first in the AL Central. 16-9 so far. And it's because partly, for the reasons for the guys they brought in. They made a big trade for Kenta Maeda in the offseason. Guy who brought a no-hitter to the 9th inning, by the way, just the other night. But look at the staff ERA, the overall team ERA. Last year, they had a 4.4 team ERA. This year, it's 3.22. A full run better this year than it was last year. And as you saw in the playoffs, after cruising through the regular season, holding off the Indians, the pitching was what killed them in the end. Couldn't get over the Yankees. Pitching staff just imploded. Pitching staff's a lot better this year. It's a lot better. And they need that. They can score with anyone. They'll hit a lot of home runs. But as you know, what wins in the postseason right now is pitching. The Washington Nationals, it's the latest example of that. If you have good pitching, if you have dominant pitching, the rest will take care of itself. And the Twins, again, credit to you so far. You addressed pitching in the offseason, especially with the starting rotation. Lowered the team ERA by a run compared to last year. That's why you find yourself so far, almost halfway through the season, at number 3 on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network's Power Rankings.
Number 2.
The New York Yankees. Weird to say in 2020, no fans in the stands, wacky schedule, condensed schedule, that really the Yankees have had a great home field advantage. But they have. 16-8, they are 10-1, or I guess now 10-2, I should say, at home this year. 10-2. They started off 10-0. They've been great. And really, I talk about a good problem to have. Their biggest issue so far this year isn't pitching, isn't the bullpen, isn't their depth. It's having too many players and not enough spots. Clint Frazier batting .409, crushing it. Best OPS on the team. Despite the fact he's only played in 7 games. Why has he only played in 7 games? Because there's not enough room for him. You have Giancarlo Stanton. You have Aaron Judge. You have Aaron Hicks. There's no room at the end. So this is a guy who's sent up, or I should say brought up, sent down, only up there for an injury. Mike Tauchman has gotten a lot of run. And this is a guy who, despite being, basically on a roller coaster of getting up and down, just hits. Just flat out is a hitter. So right now, their injury situation is not great. DJ LeMahieu hurts his thumb. Obviously, you have Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton both on the DL. Or it's IL. But even with those injuries, even with Gary Sanchez struggling, Gleyber Torres slumping to start the year, they're still second in runs scored. They're still killing at 16-8. So the Yankees, man. When one player gets hurt, another superstar emerges. It's unbelievable. I am so jealous. So jealous that they can sign a guy right before last year, Mike Tauchman. At best case scenario, the 25th guy off the bench. Now has become a player that you rely upon. That has been very, very, very good and has fit in extremely well for the Yankees. So credit to them. They have too many bats. Think about that. Too many good players, not enough places to play them. That's the biggest issue for the Yankees and why they sit at number 2 so far in this week's power rankings. And at
number 1.
No surprise here. I mean, it's still the Los Angeles Dodgers. Again, similar to the Yankees having their biggest issue being not enough spots for these guys. I mean, the Dodgers, you could basically say the same thing. They sent down their Rookie of the Year favorite in Gavin Lux because they didn't have enough room for him in the infield. They're 18-8. Mookie Betts has been dominant so far. 9 homers, 21 RBIs, plays great defense. And the Dodgers, I mean, what else can you say? Honestly, what else can you say? Most runs in baseball. Most home runs in baseball. Best team ERA pitching-wise. Best bullpen in baseball. They do it offensively. They do it defensively. Their run differential is insane. So through 26 games, they have a plus 63 run differential. That's impressive on its own. What's even more impressive is the gap. The next closest team with that run differential is the Twins at plus 39. So they have a 24-run difference between them and the next team. So there's no real flaws to find. The Dodgers are a juggernaut. We knew that coming in. They're always a great team these last few years. Could never get it done in the playoffs. They try to basically guarantee a World Series berth, try to guarantee a World Series win by trading for one of the best players in baseball, Mookie Betts. And they really have no flaws right now. And their biggest flaw, honestly, is how they play in the postseason. That's been their big bugaboo. They've always been a dominant regular season team. They're dominating again at 18-8. Again, they're leading it in every statistical category, it feels like. No flaws. So we have a newcomer in the A's. We have newcomers in the Rays in the power rankings. The Dodgers were number 1 the first time we did the power rankings 2 weeks ago. They are number 1 again. And hot take here, they're going to be number 1 the rest of the year. I don't even know if injuries could derail the season at this point, regular season-wise. They're clicking all cylinders. They're playing great. So the Los Angeles Dodgers, again, for the second week in a row, number 1 in the Worldwide Sports Radio Network's power rankings. Just missed. We'll give you 2 teams. Close, on the cusp, but not good enough to crack it this year. The Cleveland Indians, 15-9 on the Twins there in the AL Central. 5-game win streak. Pitching has been off the charts. Second best team ERA, easy for me to say, on the Dodgers. Interesting, though, I'm very excited to see how the pitching staff goes forward without Zach Plesac, without Mike Clevenger. Missed that story. Both broke curfew, both lied about it. Clevenger in different ways than Plesac. And now they got option down. We'll see how long they're away from the team. But 2 of their best pitchers breaking curfew, lying about it, putting their team at risk of possible COVID. Cleveland Indians, 15-9, just missed out. And we'll go with the Cubs as well. Just missed out. 16-8, so a great record. One of the best records in baseball. But they've really cooled off. They come back to earth a little bit. They start off 13-3. Start off red hot. But Javi Baez really hasn't been able to get out of the gate. Chris Bryant has struggled. And you look at where they, as a team, where they sit in the league. Offensively, they're in the middle. Defensively, or I should say pitching-wise, they're in the middle. So they really don't excel at one thing or another. I mean, these 5 teams they gave you, the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Twins, the A's, the Rays, they have at least one thing they are dominant at. Rays, offense. A's, pitching. Twins, pitching. Yankees and Dodgers really both, but mostly offense. Cubs don't really do anything well. So I'm curious if they're starting to come back to earth, but still 16-8, still a great team. Just not enough to crack the power rankings on this week's edition on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. So I'm curious your thoughts. Is there any other team right now that can chase down the Dodgers? Is there any other team I'm missing out of this week's power rankings? Give me your thoughts. Worldwide Sports Radio Network on Facebook, WWSRN_radio on Twitter. We'll get your thoughts, and when we come back, it's time. We have made it. It's been a long grind. We started this in May. Now, on August 20th, we will crown a 2020 Apocalypse champion. See who wins the title next on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. It's time to wake up with the Morning Boys on Worldwide Sports Radio Network. And here's your host, Ryan Hickey.
We started this journey back in May. 15 contestants in our regular season contributed, participated. We whittled it down to 10 to make the playoffs. A little playing tournament to see who take home the top 8. Seeded 1 through 8. Got through the Elite 8. Got through the Final 4. And now we sit here crowning a third-place champion already. We will sit here in the 2020 Apocalypse Finals. The 1 seed Joe Pidell, who got 4 to 5 questions right in the regular season, defeated the 8 seed Mike Biseglia, went perfect in the Final 4 against Lauren, going 5 for 5. He comes in the number 1 seed trying to win the championship. It is the great Joe Pidell. Joe, how are you feeling today, buddy?
I'm feeling good, I'm starting to get a little sad. It's coming to an end, but you know what? I got to go out on top. We'll see.
Trying to finish right. Take home the crown. I mean, you are good to see you remembered until I texted you this morning. So, good little. I mean, you would have, I guess, I had a forfeit. Sauerbrunn on the line. Joe texted or text Joe this morning. Hey, you still good to go? Goes, oh, geez, I forgot today was Thursday. So we almost had a forfeit, but hey, we are glad you're here. Definitely glad you're here. And your competitor, the 3 seed Sarah Troncali, also got 4 to 5 right in the regular season. Defeated the 6 seed Nick McCool. Went to overtime to defeat the 2 seed Cody Enos in a very hotly contested, back and forth, intense matchup. Sarah Troncali, the 3 seed. Sarah, can we get some energy today? What's going on?
Oh, not much. Just at home. I'm hearing my mom listening to your show in the next room. She has a cowbell ready.
She has it. Wow.
Right. Yeah,
Wow.
she's like pumped. I'm feeling a lot of pressure.
Where's my support system? I have nothing over here.
Yeah, a real home court advantage for Sarah, it sounds like. She had the cowbell in the background, a lot of family support or pressure support. Either way, Joe, it sounds like you're on your own here. The number 1 seed going into enemy territory, huh? Wow.
That's right. Nobody likes
support for me. I don't know.
That's true,
There's
Joe.
more
Everyone's really
fans
no one
than,
likes the favorite to win. So probably everyone's that's listening. Root for the underdog.
She has more fans than pro teams are going to have this year.
That's a good point. The only person in 2020 so far with home field advantage will be Sarah Troncali. So you guys have played a bunch. You guys know the rules. 5 questions. Best score of 5 wins the championship. We do have overtime if you two get there. Are you guys ready to go for the championship of 2020 Apocalypse? Can you guys feel it? You ready?
Always.
All right, so Joe, you're the one, so you will go first here. Number 1, a Florida sheriff banned the wearing of masks by any deputies or visitors inside the office and stated if visitors refuse to take their mask off, they will be removed from the station. 2020 or Apocalypse?
We're just not even gonna logic it out. We're just gonna go with Apocalypse.
You're going Apocalypse. No way this is true. No explanation, no thoughts. So Sarah, you're on your own here. What are you thinking?
I'm going to say they're starting out a little strong here. I'll go 2020.
Wow, opposite answer. Someone's going to take a 1-0 lead here. Sarah, get that cowbell ready. You have 1-0. It is 2020. This is a real story. Florida sheriff, you don't take your mask off, you're out of here. And purposely banned. It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. This is a true story.
Nuts.
Florida, it's like a whole different world. They should be honestly their own country. But
That's
yes,
crazy.
no mask allowed in the sheriff's station, or you will be asked to be removed. So with
That was a tough one to start with.
that's a tough. Listen, I'll say this: I've had these questions picked out for probably 2 or 3 weeks, kind of eyeing the finals. You got to make it hard. So these questions to me are the best 5 questions of 2020. So no pressure. Sarah, you're off to a good start, and you will go with number 2. The state of South Dakota, since their coronavirus numbers are very low and manageable, decided to completely shut off their borders and not allow any visitors into their state until the virus has been controlled throughout the rest of the country. 2020 or apocalypse?
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. The state of South Dakota, the state itself, because they've done so well and their coronavirus numbers are so low, decided to shut off their borders completely and are not allowing any visitors from out of state into their own state until the virus has been controlled throughout the rest of the country. So essentially, they are closing their doors until nationally we get a handle.
I just feel like I would have seen that. But like also South Dakota, like, who cares about that state? Sorry if anyone's from South Dakota.
Classic East Coast bias. Who cares about South Dakota? Who cares about the Mount Rushmore, right?
Yeah, like no one wants to see that. I'll go apocalypse.
All right, you're going apocalypse. Now, Joe, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, you have been to Mount Rushmore, correct?
I actually have.
So, I mean, talk about boots on the ground, having the inside source.
Every person I saw there was one more than what I was expecting to see in South Dakota. Yeah, I feel like I would have seen something like this, so I'm going to go apocalypse as well.
All right, both of you going apocalypse. Both of you are correct. Made up, not true. South Dakota is basically not closing their borders, not closing their doors. This is made up. So if you want to go to the Mount Rushmore, Sarah, I know you obviously have no interest, it sounds like. But if you wanted to, you are allowed to. You are allowed to, so far.
Do you hear the cowbell in the background?
Yes, holy cow. Joe, is that in your head now? I mean, it's just, it's deafening.
Not yet. I can't hear it.
All right, we are going to question number 3. Sarah holds a 2-1 lead. Joe, you will go first. A man punched a teenage Sesame Place employee in the face after the worker told the man that masks were required on the premises. 2020 or apocalypse?
I'm going to go 2020.
Jeez. This is true. This country's in a tough place. A teenage Sesame Place employee got punched in the face after telling a man masks were required on the premises. You're going 2020. Sarah, what are you thinking?
All right, so I'm angry because Danny used to work there, so I feel like
Really?
I could have had an inside answer.
I had no clue. When did he work there?
He worked there, like, when he was a senior in college, so literally a few months ago.
Wow.
I'm so angry.
So Joe had boots in the ground in South Dakota, had the inside scoop. Now you have the inside scoop for this question, having your own brother work at Sesame Place. Pre-pandemic, though, mind you. Pre-pandemic. But, hey, maybe if people go there all happy, maybe, okay, no reason to punch them in the face. But I don't know if Danny knows maybe the clientele. People go there upset, hate being there. Yeah, maybe it makes sense, you know? Someone tells me to do something, I'm going to punch him in the face.
Okay, I'll also go 2020.
Same answer, 2020. You both are correct. Unfortunately, this is a real story. A poor employee got punched in the face. I think I actually had a surgery on his jaw, to be completely honest. And from what I've seen, the man is still at large. So maybe Danny, I don't know if Danny can help solve the case or not. If he knows, knows some people in the area, get some inside sources.
It could have been him.
I was like, Ryan Hickey's not making this one up.
You guys. I think that's an easy one, but all right. Okay. All right. There we go. There at every show, there's always some sort of dig at my intelligence. So thank you, Joe, for continuing this trend. I figured it was going to be Sarah, to be honest. I didn't honestly think it was going to come from you, But hey, it's 2020, right? It's 2020. We will continue with the theme. So with that said, 3 questions in, 2 left. Sarah holds a 3-2 lead. Sarah, you get this one right. Joe gets it wrong. Wave that cowbell, baby. You're the champion. Joe gets it right. We will advance to question number 5. Sarah, you will go first. A North Carolina woman celebrated her 100th birthday by purposely getting arrested and going to jail in order to cross it off her bucket list. 2020 or apocalypse?
Oh, interesting. My question is why? I mean, I get it, maybe the thrill of going to jail, but
Is there a thrill? Has anyone that's gone to jail said, wow, what a thrill. What a rush in the back of a police car, so I'm going to go to jail for a while.
Well, I wonder what she did to purposely get arrested.
I'm trying to think. I mean, I feel like it's not that hard.
All right, I'm going to say apocalypse, because, who actually wants to go to jail? Just who actually wants to go to South Dakota, but,
No one wants to go to South Dakota, so that's false. No one wants to go to jail, so that's false. You're going apocalypse. All right, Joe. It's on the line here. You get this one wrong, and Sarah gets it right. It's all over.
See, I'm sort of in a tough spot here because it's she has the lead.
Yes.
So if I go same answer as her, then we go tied to the last one, then she could just copy my answer.
Very true.
And then she wins. So it looks like I'm going 2020.
That's where the strategy comes in. You're playing the game, Joe, as it should be. So you're going 2020. Sarah's going apocalypse. Joe, the strategy pays off. This is a real story. She got arrested. Now, in the story, she technically didn't do something. I guess she reached out to the police station, and they just came by and arrested her without actually doing anything. But she went to jail, got her mugshot, got a T-shirt, and she was actually placed in jail. Would this be on your bucket list?
T-shirt for going to jail?
Yes, like a jump shirt. I think
there?
it's like a jumpsuit. They gave one of those orange jumpsuits.
Oh my God! Do we think they have a nursing home prison?
That's a great. I hope not. I think they put her in the real thing. I think she was in the real jail. Imagine that. 100 years old. Is that on either of your bucket lists?
No, I'd rather not.
No.
No interest. Seeing what it's like.
Nah, I'll enjoy my time and the freedom.
Same. I went to jail once on a class trip. Let me tell you, never going back. Not that I needed an incentive to not go to jail, but let me tell you, that field trip to jail. Oof. Yeah, that is for sure.
Yeah, I did that too.
I was gonna say, Joe, were you in that class?
Yeah, I think I did that. I don't know if we did the same semester, but yeah.
Yeah, that is that was enough to scare me straight. That's for sure. No going to jail on my bucket list. That's for sure. But no surprise here. Great competitors, number 1, number 3. Both of you, I said this is the best matchup, Goliath versus Goliath. And of course, we are tied 3-3, going to question number 5, overtime possibly looming, or we could have a walk-off champion. We'll see how it goes. Joe, you will go first. Number 5. The city of Los Angeles has warned their citizens they will shut off their water and power at houses that host unpermitted large parties. So essentially, if you have a big gathering that's not permitted, the city of Los Angeles will shut off your water and shut off your power. Is that true, 2020, or is that apocalypse?
All right, this is a good final question. All right, so I have a hard time, I don't know. It's hard to say because I feel like drastic times, they definitely increase the punishments, but I have a hard time picturing them going to that extent. So I'll go apocalypse.
All right, Joe is going apocalypse. Sarah, a little strategy here. What are we thinking? For a chance to win if you go 2020, chance to go to overtime if you say apocalypse. What are we thinking?
I can go apocalypse and go into overtime.
Yes.
But I am highly confident that it's 2020 because
boy.
and if Ryan says it is apocalypse, I will send him the article that I read this morning.
Oh my
God.
No way.
That they turned off the water for a TikTok mansion person, Bryce Hall to be exact, because he was throwing really, really big parties in LA. so I am very confident.
No. Who is the celebrity? Bryce Hall?
Bryce Hall, he's a TikToker, so if asked like Bridget or Addison or Ella,
Oh, a
they would
TikToker.
back me up. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said like a brick topper. I'm like, what the hell is that? Oh, a TikToker.
No, TikToker, I think that's a TikTok person.
Wow. So you're going 2020. Joe's going to Apocalypse. We will have a walk-off winner. Sarah Troncalli, get that cowbell ready. You are the 2020 or Apocalypse champion. What are the odds? You read the final question, an article that morning. The upset, you hear the cowbell in the background. Sarah, congratulations. The 3 seed, the upset. You are the 2020 or Apocalypse champion. Wow. What is going through your mind here? What are we feeling?
Well, honestly, thank God I went on BuzzFeed this morning.
BuzzFeed helping 2020 or Apocalypse. Lauren writes in on Facebook, Sarah knows, I knew this one too. Gotta love the TikTok world. Shout out to TikTok, as they have helped Sarah win 2020 or Apocalypse. Joe, you had a great run. You got a perfect 5 out of 5 score in the Final Four. You had some tough environment to go against, basically playing an away game as the number 1 seed. What's going through your mind here as you're losing walk-off fashion? Basically, you gave up the walk-off home run. What's going through your mind?
Not the first time I've given off a walk-off, but I'm going to have to look into some investigators to see if Ryan Hickey's give tipping answers over there.
Whoa! Wow, my character getting called into question. The intelligence is one thing. The character, Joe, this is down the middle. You can look at texts. You can look at phone calls. This is a clean game.
Just kidding. Congratulations.
Thank
Wow.
you. Sorry that I took your win.
You want to give it to
It's
him?
okay.
You feel bad? You want to give it to Joe? You can give it to him if you want.
No. I'm bringing fame to the family name.
The cowbell's been rang.
That's it. The cowbell. You can't unring the cowbell. Sarah Troncalli, in walk-off fashion, 2020 or Apocalypse champion. Sarah, congratulations. And I expect you to put it on your resume. I expect you to basically tell all your friends about it down the shore this weekend. Hey, everyone, buy me a drink. I'm the 2020 or Apocalypse champion. No big deal. And bask in that glory.
Oh, my God.
There you go. Go celebrate. Go, pop off champagne. I know Rutgers probably closed for the day, so no real work to do. Enjoy the celebration. Enjoy the glory. And congratulations one last time.
You.
And
Thank you.
Joe and Sarah, thank you both for playing. A lot of fun. I hope you guys had fun too. All right, that's going to do it. We appreciate Sarah. We appreciate Joe. And we congratulate Sarah. The dramatic walk-off because of TikTok story she read on BuzzFeed this morning. Was not expecting that. Figured this is a crazy enough story to where, it doesn't really sound too believable. No way that's actually true. BuzzFeed and TikTok, man, ruling the world. So congratulations, Sarah. She got it done. And she is the 2020 or Apocalypse champion. Now, hopefully no one else will have that title. Fingers crossed, like I said, we get through the rest of this year, everyone calms down, and there's no pandemic in 2021, or at least a very subdued version, to where we won't have to discuss the wackiness and the craziness that's happened so far in this country like we had the last few months. So hopefully you all, wherever you listen, had a lot of fun, enjoyed the segment. I had a lot of fun putting together, a lot of fun reading these stories, collecting these articles, because, man, it's been a wacky year to say the least, and hopefully at least bringing a little laughter, bringing a little joy to the situation, hopefully helps the pain for sure. So congratulations, Sarah. A lot of fun. We'll see if we'll do it in the future. Fingers crossed we won't. But congratulations one last time. When we come back, we'll finish off with some NBA. Brian Mahoney in the Orlando bubble. We'll discuss his thoughts on the last few playoff action and if the Lakers are in trouble in the Morning Boys. Ryan Kiewicz right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. It's time to wake up with the Morning Boys on Worldwide Sports Radio Network. And here's your host, Ryan Hickey.
And welcome back into the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. It is the Morning Boys, Ryan Hickey right here. We congratulate Sarah Troncalli, 2020 or Apocalypse champion. On Facebook, the Facebook comments are blowing up. A lot of family listening and a lot of family happy that Sarah Troncalli gets it done and earns the 2020 or Apocalypse champion. So one last time, Sarah, congratulations. We have talked a lot of NBA today. We talked a lot about who should be the favorite, because right now the Clippers, Bucks, and Lakers are all showing you different vulnerabilities throughout the bubble. Are the Lakers in trouble? Discuss all that and more. We'll go down to the Orlando bubble itself. Live from Orlando is Brian Mahoney, Associated Press NBA reporter. For all his great work on Twitter at Brian C. Mahoney. Brian, thanks so much for giving us a few minutes this morning. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, Brian. How about yourself?
We're hanging in. We're doing well. Definitely doing a lot better now that the NBA playoffs have started and these great games are going. But, Brian, I'm curious. You're down there in the Orlando bubble. You're one of the few people with the experience. What's it been like so far?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I've been here a lot shorter time than a lot of other people. I just started about a week and a half ago, and I have kind of the second stint here through the end of the first round of the playoffs. And it's a wall-to-wall basketball during the day. You'll have 4 games going in the playoffs now, and then the other 4 or 5 teams have been practicing throughout the day. So. From pretty much the time you wake up to almost the time you go to bed, you can find some basketball being played somewhere.
Is there any time for activities? Because you hear about the players, they're playing golf, they're fishing. Is there any room for activities from the reporter's perspective?
Well, not much, but a little bit. I did get out a little bit, but there's only so many places we can go. Obviously, it is the whole campus environment, so the only sort of stuff we can do is things that is basically booked through Disney that are kind of on the campus. We can't go out to the mall, but, for a dinner or something or a golf trip that maybe, they arrange for us, that stuff is okay. So they're trying to keep us with some things to do, knowing that it's certainly being away from home. It's hard for anybody, players or otherwise.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it's at least they're giving you something. But it sounds like I said, 4 games a day, basically starting the afternoon all the way to night, practice in between. It sounds like there's enough basketball to keep you busy. So I'm curious. So last night, sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're at the Mavericks-Clippers game. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep, I was there.
So I'm just curious, watching Luka Doncic, especially, in person these last few nights, I guess my question is, especially with the Clippers and how great defensively they are and the struggles they're having, is the only thing stopping Luka Doncic right now is foul trouble?
Well, I mean, you look at his numbers last night, they're still great numbers. They had 28, 8 and 7, somewhere around there. And, he's only played about 10 minutes in the second half. So to show what he can do in such a limited amount of time. And, watching game 1, I thought as good as he is, he could be in a little bit of trouble early on in that game. The Clippers are certainly trying to bang him around, switch a lot of defenders on him, be physical with him. All the kind of things he would do to rattle a great player, especially a young player, 21 years old like he is. But he showed he can handle it. He turned the ball over a lot in that game 1, but he still made a ton of great plays. Kept the Mavericks in it almost till the end. And then yesterday when he was on the floor, he made a great impact. He'll have to, watch out for the fouls, just like he had to watch out for the turnovers after game 1. But he's such a good player, such a smart player. I think he'll learn to adapt, and I look forward to seeing the rest of the series.
We're talking with Brian Mahoney, Associated Press NBA reporter. Find Brian on Twitter at Brian C. Mahoney. So, Brian, we started today's show, at least, with discussing who should be the favorite right now, right? Every year so far, there's always one team that's the clear-cut favorite in Vegas. First time since 2015, there has been no favorite. That was before the playoffs started. Now you watch, obviously, the Bucks drop game 1 of the Magic. You see the Clippers easily. I mean, if Porzingis isn't teed up for a second time and ejected, we could be talking about the Clippers in an 0-2 hole right now against Dallas. And the Lakers looked abysmal, I mean, to say the least, in game 1 against Portland. Is there, out of those 3 teams at least, or maybe it's another team in your mind, who is like the favorite, who should be the favorite right now to win the title?
Well, I thought going into the season, I thought going into the bubble, it was Milwaukee and the Clippers in my mind. I thought those were the 2 best teams. If you base it on an overall, I'll still stick with that. Now, if you're saying who looks like the favorite based on how they're playing in the bubble only, then you would say Toronto against Portland probably, which, those have been probably in the East to the West. Certainly Toronto has been, pretty much head and shoulders above everybody who's still playing right now. They've only lost once. So it's, you really have to sort of, when you're, and I know, in Vegas' mind, it changed a little bit. They had gone away from the Lakers to the Clippers, and who knows what it's going to be today after the Clippers lost. But it's, you really have to decide if you're evaluating based on what you've seen in the last 3 weeks or the last, 8 or 9 months. And that's hard to do a little bit.
So I'm just going to ask, so it sounds like, still for the most part, you're still relying on the whole sum of the year. You're still going back to, just pure talent, sounds like, with the Bucks and the Clippers, despite, like you said, despite their struggles in the bubble, you're not taking, I guess, the results so far through the first 8 seeding games and 1 or 2 playoff games, depending on which team you're talking about. You're not taking those results, at least, I don't want to say too seriously, but they're not changing, for the most part, your outlook on a championship contender so far.
It's a good question a little bit, Ryan, because it's a little bit of both. With the Clippers, I still think I'm their talent overall. I think part of their struggles here has just been not getting their talent on the floor. Obviously, Lou Williams had to leave the team for a little while. Montrezl Harrell was gone for a long time after the death of his grandmother, and now Patrick Beverley is hurt, and who knows how long he'll be out. So I'm still going with the Clippers based on what I believe when they're on the floor. With the Bucks, a little different because they have not played really well in the bubble, and Toronto has. And I will allow right now to say a little bit. I'd be more wavering on the Bucks than I would on the Clippers, because even if the Bucks do play well, Toronto is going to play well too, and that's not going to change. So certainly, I think the gap is narrowed there quite a bit.
Talking to Brian Mahoney live from the Orlando bubble. So I'm curious, Brian, you hit on you're concerned a little for the Bucks. The Lakers play as well today, both in an 0-1 hole against their respective teams. Who do you think needs to win more today? Is it the Bucks or the Lakers?
I think the Lakers need win a little more, because Portland's playing so well right now. I wouldn't want to fall behind them 2-0 and then have to beat them, 4 times out of 5 games. Even if the Bucks fall behind 2-0, they're still better than the Magic, and the Magic aren't healthy, and I still would have a hard time believing Orlando would win that series, even with a 2-0 lead. But if Portland goes up 2-0, they're healthier. They're probably deeper. They're certainly playing better, and I would start to wonder if the Lakers could pull this off if they don't win Game 2.
I was looking at the Lakers because, like you said, right, they've really, since they've gotten out of the bubble, showed nothing, really any comments they can even just be a championship-level team. Their three-point shooting has just been, putrid, and that was exacerbated on Tuesday night. They can't score. They're struggling to score, and really, outside of LeBron and AD, if they don't have essentially massive games, there's no one right now consistently behind them scoring and contributing. How much concern do you have that they might not even make it out of the first round, let alone, beat the Clippers, beat the Bucks, and win the championship? Just what's your concern right now that they might get upset in the first round?
It's, everything about this year is so amazing that I don't think anyone would be totally stunned beyond all belief if the Lakers lost. They're playing a team that, had 4 months to get healthy, who brought back guys who were out, and who knows what they would have been able to play if they even would have made the playoffs in the first place if the season had continued.
Right.
Portland now is just, everything that we thought they could be. And the Lakers, look, they've been playing without Rondo. He's supposed to come back, maybe as early as tonight, but, remains to be seen. And there's just not a lot of depth behind those guys. And right now, top to bottom, the way Portland is playing, they wouldn't surprise anyone if they beat any team.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's just, it is interesting to see the Lakers, all the hype, and it's just LeBron. It's just, I guess it sounds like it, or it looks like, I should say, that break, he's so great at pacing himself. That break kind of threw off maybe his equilibrium or his whatever, because the whole team is kind of just taking his lead and not really playing too well. So, Brian, I'm curious, since you're down there in the actual bubble, what's it like? Because at least for me on TV, it feels maybe that, the virtual crowd or trying to give a team a home court advantage, I don't know if they're pumping the music in a little louder, or maybe it's just, me just making things up. But I'm curious, has the NBA tried at least to make a legitimate home court feel in the playoffs by whatever it is, the music louder, the fans being louder, or, does it feel any different from the playoffs than it did in the seeding games actually in the arena?
Not to me at all. I think the NBA's doing everything they can to do that. Making it, as loud as they can within reason, and trying to make it feel like a team has some court of home court, but they don't. And quite honestly, just the way this is with no fans and games all day and night, it today doesn't feel any different than last Wednesday or Thursday, whatever day it is. So the fact that the playoffs started, it doesn't feel any different basketball-wise on the floor than it did. And I certainly think that affects the contending teams. Those teams should be playing at home right now with home court advantage in their own building, and they're not. And look how many top seeds we've seen lose already. I think Toronto, top of my head, might be the only one who's played 2 games and is still undefeated. So it's a tough situation for them who had to play their way through it, and it's not easy to do.
Talking about Brian Mahoney, Associated Press, NBA reporter. So I'm curious, Brian, do the games, I guess, feel less intense? We always hear players talk about that playoff intensity. It's different in the playoffs itself. Do you get that feeling being in the arena, seeing the players? Like, does their mindset, does their intensity ratchet up, or like I said, is it tougher because it really feels like just maybe even a summer league game just feels like a regular game?
I think in some games you've seen that. I think the playing game when Portland played Memphis, I thought that was really intense. A couple nights earlier when Portland beat the Nets in their finale, those were must-win games, and you could feel the intensity there. I think, but over the course of every game, no, not at all. I think I was at Miami and Indiana's game one. That was an afternoon game, and they played each other twice in the seeding games. It didn't feel any different. That's just the way this is going to be, unfortunately, and it is hard. You don't find yourself. I don't think it's possible to find yourself totally locked in like you normally would, whether you're watching on the side, whether you're on the court playing, coaching, whatever. It's just a different atmosphere.
I'll take the atmosphere actually one step further, because I know, at least after game one, I heard Jamal Murray do an interview, and he said that he mentioned, right after that game where him and Donovan Mitchell both went off, obviously they cross pass after the game, but then they go back to the bubble and they cross pass again. I'm curious, since you're down there, since you're on the campus, kind of talk with these players before the game, after the game, is there like a different, I guess, is the attitude at all changed? Because now, if you get intense, if you get beef with someone on the court, you go to your respective hotels, you really don't see anyone. But now it's, you're all going back to the same area, you're all in the same hotel or two. Has like the intensity, or I guess the attitudes of the players changed at all now that you're going to see that person after the game more times than not?
I mean, maybe some guys might be able to block that out and still treat it, full playoff intensity, like, hey, that's the enemy. But I think most guys, it's hard. They don't have anyone else to talk to. Their family and their friends aren't here, so the only guys you talk to are the people within the bubble. The only people you talk to, in person anyway. So, whether if it's an opponent of their team and someone you're playing, I mean, you're going to say hello to them and probably chat. It's just the circumstances here make it hard to block that out. Although, unless you're going to stay in your room all day and only talk to your teammates, but that's hard to do.
Oh yeah, I can only imagine. We're fish up here at Brian Mahoney, at Brian C. Mahoney on Twitter. So Brian, I'm curious because it sounds like, at least in the East, it sounds like for you, Toronto is that team outside of the Bucks that could really give them a run for the money, make the finals. That's a team that's not the Lakers, Clippers, or Bucks that we all thought coming into the season. I'm curious, out of the West, is there a team outside of the Clippers, outside of the Lakers so far that you've watched in the restart, that you watched so far, whether it's a game or two, I know it's a small sample size, that you watched to see, okay, this team, maybe it's the Rockets, maybe, I don't know if it's the Jazz or if it's the Nuggets. Is there a team outside of the Lakers or the Clippers so far that you think can make a real run to the finals out of the West?
Well, based on the way they've played, it would be Portland. Now, now again, they still have to beat the number one seed just to get out of the first round. So, I don't want to all of a sudden make it seem like I'm picking to do this. But based on the way they've played, certainly you could say, sure, I could see them getting out of the West. And, you can never rule out the Rockets. Obviously we don't know how long Westbrook will be out, but they still, have Harden. They still have a system that nobody wants to play against. They have to overcome the size they play with, of course. But, again, in this most unusual situation, it could be an unusual team that wins, and that certainly gives the Rockets some hope.
I was just going to ask, because I want to ask this about James Harden, because this is a kind of theory I was floating with, or at least talk myself into, I should say, because I want to like the Rockets. I like James Harden. I want to buy into that they're a real title contender. So I'm curious about this perspective. James Harden, year in and year out, always leads the league in minutes. And I feel like sometimes toward the end of the year and in the postseason, because he never comes off the court, those legs get tired. You need your legs to shoot threes, and that's maybe the part of the reason why he struggles, at least scoring wise, or needs a lot of volume, I should say, to score the amount of points he does in the playoffs compared to the regular season. Are you buying it all that maybe this 4-month layoff, he has fresh legs? You saw game one that the Rockets as a team shot well. Do you think that maybe that could be the difference? Fresh legs can maybe be the difference for the Rockets and James Harden specifically, and make more shots and maybe be a legitimate threat to the Lakers, the Clippers, the Nuggets, whoever they, if they get out of the first round here.
It's definitely a reason why I give him hope, for sure. We've seen that the last couple of years where, yes, he does wear down, plays an unbelievable heavy workload during the season, and now he's had 4 months off. So, certainly if they keep going through the playoffs, then, they're still playing every other day, and it's only natural he would start to get tired. But again, getting tired now after only playing for a couple months versus getting tired versus playing for 6 months. So it is a reason to say, wait a minute, all the things I want to say negatively about the Rockets, I have to take that one off the list because this year is different than what we've seen in that regard.
that, Brian, this year is definitely different. The first 3 playoff games alone, it's been, parity's been the word that's really been missing for the NBA playoffs for a long time. And this year, the bubble, the wacky circumstances, the no home court, everyone in the same place, it has definitely brought a lot of parity so far, at least, to these playoffs. Brian Mahoney, Associated Press NBA reporter. Again, follow Brian on Twitter. He's in the bubble at Brian C. Mahoney. Brian, thanks so much for giving us a few minutes here. Enjoy your time in Orlando and enjoy just the craziness so far.
Thanks, Ryan. I appreciate it.
Brian Mahoney, again, follow him at Brian C. Mahoney. It is wacky. It is crazy. And you hear, I guess I tried to will it into existence, that a home court advantage was a little louder with the fans, a little louder with the music, because at least for me, it does sound like, maybe it's the TV doing it, but just interesting to hear Brian say, someone in the arenas watching these games in person doesn't feel that much different. The intensity is not the same as it would be if you're playing Game 3 in Portland. You're playing Game 1 in Orlando. You're playing Game 1 in Milwaukee or Toronto. No home court advantage. Maybe even the players not as intense and juiced up as maybe they normally would be, leading to more parity, which I love. The one thing the NBA, especially in the playoffs, has missed is parity. We see it in baseball, we see it in football, we see it in hockey. NBA has always been the one sport with no parity, and it's been exciting and fun to watch so far, and definitely a lot more crazy action coming today. Bucks and Lakers both down 0-1, playing later today. It'll be interesting to see, especially the Lakers especially. Can they bounce back? How will they play? So that's going to do it for this edition of the Morning Boys. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks so much. Congratulations one last time. Sarah Chunkali, 2020 or Apocalypse champion. She is the queen of knowing what happened and what didn't happen in this wacky and crazy year. So congratulations to her. She will wear that title and wear it proud, as you can hear in the background. Her parents, her family is pumped. And she made up for Beth. So Beth, I have to take one last shot. I'm sorry. She made up for Beth's struggle in the first ever regular season 2020 or playoffs debut. And she saved that Chunkali name. So congratulations, Sarah. We send our condolences and apologies to Joe. But hey, second place is still pretty good. And that was a lot of fun. And hopefully, like I said, hopefully we don't have to do it again. That 2020 will settle down and 2021 will be some sort of normal. But who knows? We still have a long, long, long way to go. So congratulations, Sarah. Again, thanks to Brian for just joining us live from the bubble and giving us some great insight on just the wackiness so far that's happened down there in the bubble with the playoffs. Enjoy the playoffs. Enjoy baseball, basketball, hockey, a ton, a lot of great stuff coming up this weekend. Enjoy whatever you're doing. Stay safe and stay sane. We'll talk to you on Monday right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.